Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back in the action, and today we are doing another deck profile. Apologies for all my subscribers who were probably wondering where my other videos have been, but I've been working on more decks, working on some more stuff to get sorted out, and I've actually just moved rooms where I live, and it's been a busy couple of weeks. So this deck, most people like if they're a certain fan of certain things, but they don't normally use it because it's more of a good practice deck to use. And this is Sora's deck from the Arc 5 season, which is a Fluffle and an Edge Imps, aka the Frightfurs, I believe it's called, is it? Yep, Frightfur deck. So I'll start off with Fluffles, then Edge Imps, and then I do my usual, because since they're monsters, spell and traps. First we have 3 Fluffle Leos. And this, which are here, and their effects are, when this card declares an attack, it gains 500 attack until the end of to the end of the battle phase. So you could use this in other decks, depending on what your luck is. But it is actually quite a good card to use, even if you're not using a Fluffle deck. I used this to help my little sister, because I have a little sister. And I've taught her, teaching her how to duel. She has her own decks. This is actually her deck I built for her. Because she actually saw me watching an A&V of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was... Who was it? Who was Sora up against? Was it Yugioh? It was the dude, I can't remember his name, but it's the one who uses the Raid Raptors. And, I ended up... and she said she wanted that deck, so I made her a decent practice one, since some of them were tricky to get. So I asked my friends around, I asked if I could get any spur ones, and they had and people who had tons of spurs, so they gave me what I need to build a deck. So anyway, back to this. The next one are 2 Patchwork Fluffles. And this card's effect, this card is also treated as a frightfur monster while face up on the field. This card on the field can be used as a substitute for any one fusion material whose name is specific listed on a frightfur fusion monster, but the other fusion monsters must be correct. And like I said, the extra deck is a frightfur deck, so it combines the Edge Imps and the Fluffles together. And I actually do like the design of them. They're very dark, I'd say. Next we have 2 Fluffle Bears. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, set 1 toy vendor directly from your deck to your spell or trap card zone. You can tribute this card, then target 1 polymerization in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Fluffle Bear. Use the effect 1 Fluffle Bear effect per turn and only once that turn. Next we have Edge Imp Frightful Load, sorry. This card's effect. This card is always treated as a Frightfur card. You can target 1 Frightfur fusion monster you control, or in your graveyard, this card's attack and defense become equal to the original attack and defense of that monster until the end of this turn. You can only use the effect of Edge Imp Frightful Order once per turn. And Frightfurs, some of them actually have effects that send them to the graveyard or banish them to summon out their high tops. I've done it when I was practicing this deck to see if it was any good. Next we have Fluffle Cat. This card's effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard as a fusion material for a fusion monster, you can target 1 polymerization in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Fluffle Cat once per turn. Next we have Fluffle Sheep. This card's effect, if you control a Fluffle monster except Fluffle Sheep, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can return one other Fluffle monster you control to your hand. Special summon one Edge Imp monster from your hand or graveyard. You can only use the effect of Fluffle Sheet once per turn. And now we have this, the Edge Imp's Cotton Eater. Now, a lot of people actually didn't know this. I knew this a little bit, but I never knew it in full awareness. Because I knew they had it, because they actually have a pendulum monster. I didn't know about this until one of my friends mentioned this when a while back before. Right? I don't know if they showed it though on the series because I can't remember seeing it. If they did, I must have not seen it proper, but I didn't really, because I didn't, to be fair, I didn't really watch the season. Because I just literally got bored, I'm going to be honest. Anyway, the pendulum scale for this is 1. You can add another pendulum for this deck, but I didn't, because it's mostly full based. But this card's pendulum effect, all fusion monsters you control gain 300 attack once per turn. If a frightfur fusion monster is fusion summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can draw 1 card. Now, its normal effect as a monster. If this card is special summoned, you can inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each frightfur monster in your graveyard. You can only use the effect of Edge Imp Cotton Eater once per turn. You can add other ones, to be fair, but if you want to use the pendulum system, you've got to make sure it's a good one. And I would honestly say like a Link 5, honestly. Link 5 and higher, because they're mostly level 4s and lower. Oh no, let's just get the shade on. Next we have the Edge Imps. The first one are 3 copies, Sora, of Edge Imp Saw. I'll put these 2 away just that. Now, this card's effect, and these are all fiends, when this card is normal summoned, you can target 1 Fluffle monster in your hand to the you can send 1 Fluffle monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, then place 1 card from your hand or either the top or the bottom of your deck. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. Next we have 2 Saw Imp Sabers. And one of them's one of these ones, which I really love. Because I actually love that hologram system. So, again, a fiend. If this card is in your graveyard, place 1 card on either the top or bottom of your deck. Special summon this card in defense position. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. Next we have Edge Imp Chain. And this card's effect, when this card declares an attack, you can send 1 Edge Imp Chain from your deck to your hand. You can add 1 Edge Imp Chain from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent from your hand to the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 frightfur card from your deck to your hand. You can only use 1 Edge Imp Chain effect per turn and only once that turn. Next we have this one. It doesn't need to be in from the starter deck of built, but it is alright to use for the starters just in case you can't get any of the other Edge Imps out. And the reason it is, this one's called Edge Imp Tomahawk. Its effect is, you can send 1 Edge Imp monster from your hand to the graveyard, inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent. You can send 1 Edge Imp monster from your deck to the graveyard, except this one. This card's name becomes the sent monster's name. So let's say for a fusion I need to use Chain, send it from my deck to the graveyard. This card will be declared. Its name becomes Chain, so I can use it for fusion. But that is until the end phase. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. And now we're up to our spell cards. And to be fair, I actually forgot I didn't really organise these really well. But I work with what I got. Because I remember I put 3 in, didn't I? No, I didn't. So first we have 2 frightfur patchworks. Add 1 edge monster from your... right here. This card's effect at frightfur patchwork. Add 1 edge monster or end 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand, except you can only use the effect of this one per turn. Next we have Frightfur Fusion. And this is a really good card if you really want to summon out your top cards in 1 turn. And because this card's effect, as it says as Fusion summon 1 Frightfur Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials from listed from your field or graveyard. You can only activate Frightfur Fusion per turn. And I forgot I had 2 of them. Yeah, just 2. Next they have polymerizations, which are here. And if you don't know what these are using for fusions, using monsters from your hand or field, from as fusion materials. But you just have to... Next we have Toy Vendor. Now this card's effect, once per turn, you can discard 1 card, draw 1 card, and reveal it. Sorry, I found the 3rd one. I put 3rd in. So you discard a card, you draw a card, and then you reveal it. Then, if it is a fluffer monster, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand otherwise. Otherwise, discard that card you drew. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Enchip Sabers or fluffer monster from your deck to your hand. Next, we just have 1 copies of everything, which 2 of them are... So first I'll show you the Suchor Rebirth. Target 1 Fluffle or Frightfur monster in your graveyard. Special summon it, but its effects are negated, and you can only use the effect of this per turn. Next we have the 2 Continuous, which can actually really help you out if you use it. I think help you out a little bit if you give them a chance and you use them right. First we have Frightfur Factory. You can banish 1 polymerization spell card or fusion spell card from your graveyard, except Diffusion Wave Motion. Except Diffusion Wave Motion. Fusion summon 1 Frightfur Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 of your banished Frightfur Fusion, add it to your hand, and you can only use the effect of this once per turn. Next we have Frightfur Sanctuary. And this card's effect, activate this card by discarding 1 card and sending 2 Frightfur monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard. All fusion monsters you can show on are also treated as Frightfur monsters. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Frightfur fusion monster in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck. I've actually used this with the which one was it that I used with it? Because I used this to draw it out, and then I used... was it here? Yeah. I used this because I had an edge... because I actually got... which one is it? Because I got rid of one of my Frightfur ones, which is one of the Frightfur ones, and then I got rid of 2 Frightfurs in my extra deck to use it. So I could summon out my strongest one, which you'll see. I don't know if there's any ban lists or anything for some of these cards. If there are, comment down below, and I honestly don't mind, but this is a practice deck for my little sister. So because she's still getting used to fusions, even though she has a Melodious deck. This is her like cuddly deck, and the Melodious ones are her performance deck. And comment down below, actually, I've done the Abyss Actors deck profile, if you find it. Actually, comment down below what performance deck you like. You got Perform Pals, Performals, Abyss Actors, and Melodiouses. If there's any other ones, tell me about them, and just say that's what you're a big fan of. I'm Abyss Actors. Next we have 3 Designer Frightfur traps, and its effect: target 1 Edge Imp or Fluffer monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, it can be treated as a Frightfur monster for a fusion summon. Just double checking. Next we have Fluffle Crane, and I actually like this one because of the design. When a face-up Fluffer monster or monsters you control is destroyed by an opponent's attack or card effect and sent to the graveyard, target 1 of those destroyed monsters and add it to your hand. If you do, draw 1 card. Next we have Fusion Fright Waltz. Quite an alright card, I would say. Target 1 Frightfur fusion monster you control and 1 fusion monster your opponent controls. Destroy as many other special summon monsters on the field as possible. Then each player that had a monster or monsters destroyed by this effect takes damage equal to the combined current attack of the targeted monsters on the field. So you better make sure this is a lot like Blazing Mirror Force, I think. Other than the attack part, you just gotta make sure you use it carefully. Because if you and your opponent have the same amount of life points, and you're going to take damage, and the damage is more than your life points, like that, it's a draw. Next we have Frightfur March. And this card's effect: when an opponent's spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that targets a Frightfur monster you control, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can send 1 of the targeted Frightfur monsters to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon 1 level later higher Frightfur fusion monster from your extra deck. This special summon is treated as a fusion summon. During your next end phase, banish the monster special summon by this effect. And next I added these 3 cards just for like a simple structure. This is just in case. Storming Mirror Force: when an opponent declares a direct attack, return all the opponent's attack position monsters to the hand. Call the Haunted, which is continuous. You target a monster in your graveyard, and if possible, special summon it. The 2 cards become equipped. If this is destroyed, destroy that card. Destroy them, as in destroy the monster you special summoned using it. Next we have a good classic, which you actually do see still used. This is one of the originals. Magic Cylinder. And this card works as when your opponent declares an attack, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can negate the attack, and then your opponent gets dealt damage equal to that monster's attack points. I've used this against number 107. Because I kept using, on like the duelist, because I kept using Galaxy Eyes effect, when 107 negates it, it gains 1000 attack, but I can keep activating it. So literally, I just keep negating until his life point, until its attack goes up to 8000, and like that, I wiped him out with his own card. Now we're up to the extra deck. You can add links to these, but I haven't had any links to these, mostly because I can special summon most of the fusions straight away from the graveyard. First we have 2 Frightfur Sheeps. And I love the design of these. It combines cute and cuddly with horrifying at the same time. This card needs an Edge Imp Chain and a Fluffle monster to summon it. If this card battles, your opponent cards and effects cannot be activated until the end of the battle of the damage step. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card, and if you do, it gains 800 attack. You can only use the effect of this once per turn, so it could gain 2800 if you're lucky. Next we have Frightfur Leo. And this needs an Edgimp Saw and a Fluffer monster. And that's why we have different Edgimps, because certain ones need the certain others to do it. And this card's effect must be special summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that destroyed monster's original attack. You can only use the effect of Frightfur Leo once per turn. This card cannot attack your opponent directly during the turn you activate this effect. But it can still attack. Next we have Frightfur Wolf. I actually like the design of this. And this one needs Edgimp Saber and one or more Fluffer monsters. And the reason it's saying for one or more is because of its effect. Must be special summoned with the above fusion materials and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card can attack a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion. So if I use 3 because of 2 Fluffles, it has 3 attacks. Next we have Frightfur Bear. And this needs an Edgimp Sabers and a Fluffer monster to summon it. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can equip that monster to this card as an equipped card with this effect. The equipped monster gains 1000 attack. Next we have the final card, which is this Dex Trump card, like Chaos Giants. Pretty much the Ancient Gear Trump card, if you use it correctly. Frightfur Chimera. And the design of it is good. It's like a Psycho Circus Hydra, if you're liking it. I feel like it's quite a good design. Now, this card's effect needs 3 Frightfur monsters, but its special ability is must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card battles an opponent's monster, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the battle damage step. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your field, but its attack is halved. You can only use the effect of Frightfur Chimera once per turn. This card gains 300 attack for each monster you control that is owned by your opponent. It has 2800 attack and 2000 defense. And that's it. That is the Frightfur deck. I think it's actually a good practice deck to use. I'm expecting a delivery of cards anyway, and I'm working on Star Seraphs that Damon uses in the Arc 5 season. Sorry, not the Arc 5, the Zexal season, sorry, I got mixed up for some random reason. And Dumont is one of the 7 Barrier Emperors, and he has one of those numbers that is over 100, not number 102, Star Seraph Sage. I managed to find numbers of cards on eBay, and I've got a really good amount, and I got them at good affordable prices, so it's a win-win. There's one thing I'm good at eBay, it's finding the lowest prices and making sure I get tons of what I'm after. I get on most of them what I want straight away. I got nearly all of them in just under £6, and that was with 3 of 102s, and they're quite expensive to get your hands on. But comment down below what you thought of this deck. I do see there's improvements to be done. There can be improvements on this deck, I'm not going to lie. Oh, I'm just going to get a drink of water. But again, I do see there can be improvements on this deck. If you guys want to put suggestions on or how would you want to improve this deck, that's you have more than my permission to. Because I do like people commenting on what they think of the decks. I do like to see how they would want to improve it if they had the chance to have my deck, if I ever gave them this one. And I do like to comment and see what they do think and what their personal opinions are on Fluffles and frightfurs and everything. I think they're actually quite a good design, personally. Even though I wouldn't use them myself properly, I would still want to give them to someone who appreciates them. For for some girls, for my little sister who's still starting, she likes cute stuff and everything. And maybe you guys would like your cute stuff. If you guys like cute stuff out there, I'm saying if you guys, there's some of you guys out there, this would be a good deck. If you want to learn basic fusions, you could either use this or an Ancient Gear deck that I've shown on my deck profiles. But I'm just saying, that's an opinion. You know, I would rate this a decently powered structure deck. I would think a really strong one if used correctly. Because I don't think frightfurs have their own structure deck. I don't know, but if they did, I hope they'd be as good as this one. They'd probably add in some different cards around, but you know, but I have talked to my friends and everything, and they even said that this is actually quite a decent deck for a starter one to practice for your little ones. So anyway, I'm gonna call the video that. This is my deck profile on the frightfurs from Sora of the Art 5 season. Comment down below what you thought of this episode. Like and subscribe for any more great deck profiles. And comment down below if you want a deck profile done. But until then, this is Sergeant Phoenix. Over and out.